Guys, there is Nadia, and she just looked at me. She just looked at me.
Well, why don't you go talk to her?
A high school senior is paralyzed by lust and shyness in American Pie, one of 5 new movies we'll review this week. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, and across the aisle from me is this week's guest critic.
I'm Norman Mark of PBS Chicago, and Roger, to paraphrase my favorite movie of all the balconies in all the world, I like being in this one the best.
Here's looking at you, Norman. Okay, welcome to the balcony. Our first movie is American Pie, and it's a teenage comedy with a very simple ambition. It wants to be raunchier than Animal House, and There's Something About Mary rolled up together, and some of the time, it is. It's a sex-obsessed screwball comedy about 4 seniors in high school who make a mutual vow that they will lose their virginity by the night of the senior prom.
You know Nadia, the Czechoslovakian chick? Well, she might be there tonight. Now, do you think she would prefer laid back, Jim? Or cool hip, Jim?
That's Jason Biggs as the guy who wants to be so cool, and Eddie K. Thomas, Chris Klein, and Thomas Ian Nichols as his friend. Jim's lust object, played by Shannon Elizabeth, is a foreign exchange student who terrifies him.
At last, my love has come along.
That's great.
Meanwhile, Chris Klein targets the girls in the school glee club. He joins the club to the amazement of his friends.
These chicks don't know me. I mean, I can work this sensitive angle here, fellas. You know, it's just like that college chick told me. All that you gotta do is just ask them questions and listen to what they have to say and stuff.
I don't know, man. That sounds like a lot of work.
All the stories come together in a party after the prom, where Eddie K. Thomas runs into the mother of one of his friends.
You have anything to drink?
I believe the kegs are upstairs.
That is what the cretins drink. I'm talking about alcohol, liquor, the good stuff.
All right. I got some scotch.
Single malt?
Aged 18 years. The way I like it.
The title of American Pie is inspired not by the classic Don McLean song, but by a pie that is baked by the hero's mom with some help on the filling from her son. It's as outrageous and sometimes as disgusting as the recent South Park movie, but I liked it more because it has a cheerful spirit and the characters, for all of their obsessions, are kind of sweet. So this one, in a summer where each movie tries to be more vulgar than the one before, this one I think gets by.
Not to me. Not to me. This one combined 2 impossible combinations. It was raw and was half-baked. I think that There's Something About Mary had at least 6 terrific scenes. We both agreed on this. This one had 1.5 scenes. I mean, I like Eugene Levy as the father. I don't know why every time a father in a movie talks about sex to a kid, he's got to be a jerk. And I like Chris Klein. He brought what he brought.
How many fathers in movies or in life have you found talking to kids about sex that aren't kind of a jerk? Because the kid doesn't want to hear it, see?
But wouldn't it be
so
nice
the father can't possibly say the right thing, and at least Eugene Levy gets some laughs with the approach.
He got some laughs out of it. But
Let's
wouldn't
study
it be nice
this
to do
Hustler
something
magazine, son.
But this movie wasn't funny in long stretches, and long stretches...
Maybe I'm on the rebound from some of these movies that really were mean-spirited, like Big Daddy and South Park. But I thought its sweetness and its cheerfulness kind of appealed to me. I liked it.
I thought it was one of these films that just went on and on and on, as perhaps we are. So let's move to the next review. Okay, next movie. My Life So Far is a small, charming film about a Dotty family in Scotland after World War I. It's based on a true story. The film is seen through the eyes of Fraser, a 10-year-old boy living in a strange castle. His father is an oddball inventor who lectures on the medicinal benefits of sphagnum moss. Uncle Morris, energetically played by Malcolm McDowell, comes to visit and introduces his very young, very pretty French fiancée, played by Irene Jacob. Everyone falls for the new arrival, but especially the boy's father, played by Colin Firth, and that would change the life in any castle in the world.
What age do you know, miss? I'm 24. But don't tell your grandmother.
Rosemary Harris, she deserves a special Oscar for continuing greatness, plays the formidable Gamma.
I'm very far from dead, you know.
But I thought you stopped breathing and died.
I know you did, Fraser. That's why we don't sneak into ladies' bedrooms without knocking first.
Fraser has found his grandfather's collection of sexy books, and his newfound knowledge inspires him to speak up to his mother, played by Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, and his aunt as they discuss raising money for the church.
Mom and Aunt Eloise could be prostitutes, and they could attend to our urgent needs and earn a considerable fortune for the miners. And they could service my dad and Uncle Morris and anybody else who could afford their lubricious ministrations.
My Life So Far is the kind of lovely, lovable film that lots of people say they want to see and then unfortunately don't. The Scottish accent might be somewhat difficult to understand for some people, and the story does meander, examining events as they pop into the boy's life. But that seemed right to me. Children have no power to say when something new will suddenly throw their families into a tizzy. The amazing thing about this movie is that it really involved me in three things very far from my life. People who live in a castle, people who have servants, and people who care deeply about sphagnum moss.
Yeah, you don't meet a lot of those these days. I think the Scottish accents are perfectly understandable. I mean, this is not like Train Spotting or something where you need subtitles. I love this film. It was directed by Hugh Hudson and produced by David Putnam, and those are the same two people who made Chariots of Fire 20 years ago, and this is kind of like returning the old team again to make a film which is once again set at a time in British history when things were simpler than they are now. When life was happier, when people could be eccentric and get away with it, and the delightful dottiness of that family and the kid taking it all in.
Yes, almost
a real
Brigadoon-like. It comes out of nowhere. What's interesting, you talked about Hugh Hudson. This movie was completed 2 years ago, and I understand they've been fiddling with it ever since. Knowing that does not harm my love of the movie, but sometimes I think we know too much about movies. We know how much they cost. We know how much.
Well, I wish you hadn't told me that, because
now I've ruined it for you.
Just because they fiddled with it for 2 years, usually that means a movie doesn't work and they have to fiddle with it. In this case, obviously meant they fiddled with it until they got the tune just right, because this movie doesn't have a wrong note in it. It's just really delightful from end to end. Okay, later in the show, Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins are not your average suburbanites in Arlington Road.
You think you know me?
You got to get everybody out of the building. They want the FBI this time.
Coming up next, a horror movie called The Blair Witch Project.
I am so sorry for everything that has happened.
All right, come on, into the house. Come on, come on. I can see you. We're not going to bump into it. I'm looking backwards now.
It all starts out lighthearted as three documentary filmmakers armed with a 16-millimeter camera and a video camcorder head into the Black Hills Forest of Maryland to make a movie about a legendary witch. And the Blair Witch Project claims to tell their story only with the footage they actually shot. Footage, the movie tells us, was found a year later. As the film starts, the student filmmakers pick up local lore about the witch that the townspeople all seem to have vaguely heard of.
I've heard stories about her from people and neighbors and stuff like that, but also I saw a documentary on the Discovery Channel or somewhere.
Really?
Once about her, about the ghosts and legends of Maryland.
Sort of in the winter, I guess, the fall or the winter 1940, some of the young kids started to disappear, and nobody knew anything about why they were disappearing.
Heather Donahue plays the director of the documentary, and Michael Williams and Joshua Leonard are her crew members. They are all completely convincing. She's filled with confidence on the night before they head into the woods.
Pour me a shot, please.
Oh!
I'm freaking out.
You can't do that.
Yes, at this point, I have to do that, all right? I have to. Do we have any weed?
But then things don't go so well. They get lost in the woods. They seem to be moving in circles. Strange noises happen in the night, and they start to fight as their fear begins to grow.
We're going this way because that's the way we've been going for a day. We're going this way, and that's it. We got to come across something. I gave you back the map, Heather.
I gave you the map.
I gave you back the map. All I'm saying is we can move as fast as we want, but if we have no clue where we're moving to, then it really doesn't matter.
We're following the creek, and Mike seems satisfied with that.
I've seen the Blair Witch Project twice now, the first time at the Sundance Festival, where it generated a lot of buzz. And I'm impressed by the way the directors, Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, used the discipline of just that handheld footage, which was actually shot by the actors themselves, who were put out in the woods with the directors out of sight of them to recreate a creepy and convincing experience. No single clip, I think, really can suggest the effect of this film, because it's the way the action accumulates that makes it scary. The Blair Witch Project is creative and inventive and original and surprisingly disturbing.
And a triumph over their limitations.
Yeah.
I mean, the wonderful thing is they're going to have to shoot on video because they don't have a big amount of money. And what do? They turn that into something that is wonderful in the movie. I mean, I had chills as I watched this, and it wasn't the air conditioning in the theater. It was marvelous.
Well, you know, the way they did this movie is really ingenious because they sent the actors out and told them where they would be able to find more food and batteries and just sent them out there.
Leaving notes for 8 days to wander around and do it.
Yeah, and they had to improvise a lot of their lines and improvise things that happen. And the shots, of course, are not planned out. And then the subterranean story, as it develops, the way the stuff begins to well up from underneath, it's really subtle. I mean, they don't go for big, obvious effects, but by the end, you are worried about these kids.
Well, what these guys know is what people that have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on horror movies don't know, which is it's not the big, horrible thing dripping all sorts of gunk that's going to scare you. It's the thought of it. It's the fear of it. And so much of this movie, it's just a black screen. It's just out there, and people are whispering, what do you hear? What's going on? And, oh, it scares you. It's terrific. It's like seeing Night of the Living Dead for the first time.
Okay, well, it's a good movie. Coming up next, Jeff Bridges has his suspicions about the people next door on Arlington Road.
There's something going on over there.
Geez, I didn't know you taught a course in terrorism, Michael. That's a pretty frightening subject.
Yeah.
And Michael, played by Jeff Bridges, is going to get a lot more frightened before the film Arlington Road concludes. Bridges is also mourning the death of his wife, an agent shot during a botched FBI raid. Has all that teaching and dying driven him mad? Are his neighbors really terrorists? Will the film offer enough answers before I ask even more questions? The neighbors, played by Tim Robbins and Joan Cusack, seem like perfectly wholesome suburbanites. But Jeff Bridges discovered that maybe they're not telling the whole truth.
I'm asking you to run a name. I'm not asking you to start surveillance and break out the damn gun.
Faraday, if you'd ask your wife to do it, she'd tell you the same thing. Get you classified FBI information. She'd say, I love you, baby, but that I cannot do.
Bridges becomes so suspicious of his neighbors that he decides to do a little breaking and entering.
Michael! You locked yourself out.
Scared. Yeah, I was on the phone and the picture was falling. It's crooked, so Yeah, the locksmith guy's coming.
In a different role for an actor who usually plays the good guy, Tim Robbins seems to enjoy playing the man with many agendas.
How's the hunting?
Hey, Oliver.
I was in the city on a project, went by your office. They said, check here. Oh. You got some research going?
Yeah, it's the 70s.
Is that the Kansas City Star?
Yeah.
That's the paper I read growing up.
This is a film with terrific pictures, interesting setups, but they're undercut by my nagging questions. For instance, the ending is certainly shocking and different, and yet you have to ask yourself, how did the bad guys guarantee that everyone else would do exactly what they did? It's like the bad guys controlled minds and metal objects. I like Joan Cusack's work in this film, but overall, Arlington Road started well, ended with a total surprise, but developed potholes in between.
That's what happened to me. There is no logical way that any reasonable person can believe that the chain of events that take place in the last 25 minutes of this movie are possible. There are so many logical impossibilities in this film that by the end, my attention had been completely diverted, and I was just distracted and disappointed and let down, and I didn't care. I mean, they can't toy with an audience like that and expect the audience to care.
Absolutely. Look back at Parallax View, 1974, 25 years ago, and there, the paranoia and everything just worked out. It was so stylish, it was so beautifully done.
Well, that's the whole thing in a good thriller, is that at the key moment when you want the audience really involved, you can't throw any roadblocks in the way by putting up logical inconsistencies. You just can't do it. This movie it needed another rewrite. The last 20 minutes derails the whole project.
So Arlington Road had roadblocks instead of potholes.
Okay, next movie. And our next movie is a chilling and moving documentary about American prisoners of war during the Vietnam War. It's named Return with Honor, and it's based on the memories of many of the survivors who endured, in some cases, more than 7 years of captivity and torture in the infamous prison nicknamed the Hanoi Hilton.
They took me into a little cell with one bed board in it and concrete supports. rusted leg irons permanently mounted to the bed. And I'll tell you, the Hilton was built by the French for the Vietnamese when they had Indochina.
Kept in isolation from one another, the prisoners used inspired ingenuity to figure out ways to keep in touch.
So, to tap it out, A was the first row, first column, and it was tap, tap. B was the first row, second column, and you go tap, tap, tap. F was the second row, first column, and you tap. And you got to be pretty fast.
Sometimes letters from outside brought news in unexpected ways.
For instance, the man landing on the moon was discovered because someone got a letter that had a postage stamp with Neil Armstrong's picture on it, on the moon.
Homecoming was a joyous experience once the prisoners were finally freed.
I remember Mary rushing out, and she grabbed a hold of me, and I picked her up, and took her off the ground, and held her forever.
This film is remarkable for a lot of reasons, and one of them is the way it manages so often to match up prisoners today with actual footage taken of them when they were in prison and were in North Vietnam. For them, the Vietnam War had been reduced in scope to the size of their prison cells, and their lives came down to a very basic struggle to survive. And in the film title, it reflects their motto, to return with honor. They were brave men, and the movie honors them. This film never strains to make its points, and it doesn't have to. It's a moving and emotionally powerful document.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there thinking, why watch something about Vietnam now? It's years later. And in the first place, stories about indomitable courage are never out of date. And in the second place, maybe we did forget a little bit about what these guys did.
Well, the thing is, as Stanley Kaufman said in The New Republic, and he was a person who opposed the Vietnam War with every fiber of his being, but he said we still have to honor these men for their courage. They were doing a job, they were doing the job they signed up to do, and they did it far, far beyond the call of duty. And it's inspiring.
Oh, yeah.
It's inspiring to see the way they talk today. They don't come across like people who want our sympathy or they want us to admire them. They're just talking about how they found themselves in an impossible situation, and they dealt with it as best they could. It's about the human spirit.
Oh, absolutely. And then the ending of this film with the reunion. I mean, were your eyes dry? Mine weren't. It was
very,
so emotional.
Very powerful. It really is. Return with honor. When we come back, my video pick of the week. It has one of this year's Oscar-winning performances.
If you ever touch her again, I'll kill you. I swear it.
My video pick this week won an Academy Award last spring for veteran star James Coburn. It also contains a powerful performance by Nick Nolte. It's Affliction, adapted by Paul Schrader from a novel by Russell Banks, and telling the story of a family haunted by old memories. Nolte stars as a small-town sheriff whose drinking problem keeps him on the edge of breakdown and disturbs his relationship with girlfriend Sissy Spacek.
I'm a whole lot more than pissed. I've been there plenty in my life, and I know the difference. And this is different.
Mark, you got orders.
Call me.
The shadow over Nolte's life is cast by Coburn, playing an alcoholic who abused his son as a boy and continues to dominate him as a man.
Wait. Just leave it. Oh, yeah, just listen to your little brother here. Wait, just leave it. Candy asses. All of you. What I've got for children. Jesus freaks and candy asses.
Schrader says that after he chose Nolte for the leading role, he needed to find an older actor who was capable of intimidating him. Not an easy task with Nick Nolte. But James Coburn does the job with an angry, brooding conviction, telling us everything we need to know about the painful dynamics within that family. Affliction. It's my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed on this week's show. A split decision on American Pie, which is raunchy and shocking, but I thought it was funny and kind of sweet. Norman thought it wasn't funny enough and badly directed. Two upturned thumbs, though, for My Life So Far, the endearing story of an enchanted British childhood and a strange and wonderful family. We both also really liked the Blair Witch Project. Two thumbs down, though, for Arlington Road. And finally, we both share a lot of enthusiasm and admiration for Return with Honor, the powerhouse documentary about American prisoners of war in Vietnam. Thanks a lot, Norman, for being here.
Let me tell you, Roger, being in the balcony with you was a real pleasure.
Okay, remember, you can hear our reviews on the web at Siskel-Ebert.com, both Norman and myself. It's part of the Go Network, and now you can also link from our website to my reviews at the Chicago Sun-Times. Next week, we'll have a special show, a whole program devoted to Stanley Kubrick's new film, Eyes Wide Shut, starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.